Hey, I'm Alec, and today I'm going to show you how to speed up your prototyping process using the Sense 3D Scanner. I've actually used the Sense 3D Scanner before in a previous video that you can watch here, where I 3D scanned myself with some coworkers and turned those into busts. But today we're going to be doing something a little different because this is the latest Sense scanner. It has some very minor hardware upgrades, but some pretty major software ones that make it run a lot better than the previous version. In fact, it should be able to get accuracy 10 times as high as the previous one. Now, this Sense scanner has a focal length that means you can get objects between 6 and 8 inches tall scanned pretty well, or you can get some very large geometry of something between 6 and 7 feet tall. Today I'm going to be using the Sense 3D Scanner as reference, so I'm going to scan myself and some coworkers and take those 3D models and use them as a basis rather than the finished product that will be 3D printed. So I can use that to check, is the scale of some objects that I'm designing actually going to work, or are they going to be too big, too small? Or I can take designs that are already out there and see, how do I need to adjust them to fit a real person? Let's get to it. So I've already done some scouting to figure out what exactly I want to base this around, and I know I want to do fully 3D printed headphones. And what I can use the scanner for is to see how well do the cups fit over my ears and the headband fits over my head. I can do a necklace, and I can check to see how big is the pendant. Is it too big? Is it too small? What's the right fit for it? And then the last one I'm going to work on is a prop grip for like a blaster or something, and see how well does that fit in my hand, because either in games or movies they make them really large to seem impressive and add more detail, or they're smaller so they don't take up as much of the screen. And if you just take that and print it, you may end up with a prop that's totally the wrong size. So I'm going to do a scan of the head so that we can get the right fit for the earmuffs and the band. We'll also be able to do the necklace check using a scan of the head. And then for the prop grip, we'll either scan just my hand and wrist, or we'll do a full body scan so I can use that for all sorts of cosplay. So let's just try. We'll start with the wrist, see how that works. And now that we have this here, the actual steps to do this is we're going to scan people, we're going to get me, and we're going to get a couple coworkers to have a good sample size so that when these are printed, they're not just built for me and maybe I have a weird shaped head and it doesn't fit anybody else. We'll actually be able to see that it fits on a multitude of people and that this is a fairly universal design. And then we can do some design work. And in this case, a lot of these files I'm just getting off of Thingiverse, so we're going to link all that in the description if you want to print any of these yourself. So design or download is what we could have here. And then from there I can take that and put it in a different program and stretch it. In my case, since they're just a download, I can mess with the depth and the width and the height to get it to be the right fit. But if I were designing it, I could go back and forth and figure out what is the right distance for these different parameters to get it to fit correctly. And we'll put modify right there as part of the design process. And then after that, what we can just do is print it, and it should be good. We should be able to have one print that works as our finished test. It will work, and we should be able to just, in the case of the prop grip, take that and smooth it out, and then the rest of these use that as a basis for creating something injection molded or castable or something like that. Rather than printing several tests, we just do the one, thanks to having the scanner filling in that first couple steps. I went on a Thingiverse and searched for some headphones that I could print out, and I found a really nice set of fully 3D printed headphones. I would just need to buy some hardware to make them actually work, but this would be a great start to actually test out some sizing, considering it has so many parts that I wouldn't want to print it more than once if I could avoid it. Moana's necklace was a really simple one because it was just 2 parts, but it was really pretty and I wanted to be able to test that out on different people. I brought in Abby so that I could have a 3D model to actually test the headphones on so I could get the scaling of it right. I also went ahead and scanned Daniel so that I had both a female and male head so that I could check, does it fit on the average person, or is it going to need some extra modifications to be able to fit well? Once Daniel was scanned, I could go into the Sense software and just check up on the model, and there are couple little parts, like there's a hole behind his ear where it didn't quite scan, and his eyes look a little funny, and there's a couple little blemishes here and there. But I can use the tools within the software to actually clean it up and erase some of the triangles or actually fill in some other ones if I need to. So I'll go ahead and click solidify, it'll fill in the data, and then you can see back here that the hole in his ear is cleaned up. And then there's a couple little spots that I can get rid of using the erase tool, and it'll just get rid of those, and then we'll solidify again, and then backfill that hole. I also had Nikki come in and sit down so I could scan her, and I could use her as an example for the Moana necklace to be able to get the scaling of that right. And I also went ahead and scanned her arm and wrist so we could use that for things like watches or the prop grip I talked about. I went ahead and cleaned up the model in the Sense software already, but you can very easily see the individual fingers, and that'll work great for sizing the prop grip. Now that I have everybody scanned and cleaned up, I can go ahead and take these models and put them into NetFab where I can use them to check the scaling of the headphones. I'll check the scaling of the headphones up against Abby and Daniel's head, and then from there I can take Nikki's head scan and her wrist scan and be able to check how the scaling works for the necklace and for the prop grip. I brought the parts of the headphones into NetFab and scaled them up just a little bit to fit our models a little bit better. Now you can also see that some of the parts of the headphones are intersecting with each other, and that's because they're designed to rely on the springiness of the PLA for when it's printed to make them adjustable and fit each other better. I also tested them on Abby and could see that even at the same scaling, it's going to fit really well and it's going to be a really nice pair of headphones. I also imported the model of Nikki's head and the Moana necklace and tried testing the scaling of that. Did have to do a little adjustments to get it just lined up with her neck. And while the original scaling did look pretty nice, to me it felt kind of big, so I am going to go ahead and scale this down to 75% to fit correctly. Now for the prop grip, I went ahead and took Nikki's hand and Daniel's hand to get a rough sizing of how it would compare in two very different sized hands, as you can see. Although it looks kind of large in Nikki's hands, it actually fits pretty perfectly within Daniel's. So I'm going to leave it as is, although in the future if I have any different prop grip, I can scale it down super easily to match Nikki's hand. This weekend build was a lot of fun, but it wouldn't have been nearly as easy without the help of the Sense 3D scanner and the intuitive software that goes with it. And because it's handheld, it made it really simple to just set up a chair, scan my coworkers and myself, and do just a minor amount of cleanup work and have some really easy and really nice 3D models to work with, so that I could take these headphones, do some very minor scaling on it, and only print it once instead of having to print it multiple times in order to find out what is the right size of it. And now, I have these super awesome headphones with these cute little cat ears, and all I have to do is get some hardware for it, and I have an almost entirely 3D printed set of headphones. I'm Alec from MatterHackers. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. If you like that, give us a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all the big builds, how-tos, and troubleshooting guides I'll be working on. And don't forget, check out MatterHackers.com to explore everything 3D printing and to join the community.